This is the first base I made, and it worked well for what it is, but it's going to be way simpler if the, not simpler, but it's going to be a lot smoother if the tops can swivel on the post. So I'm going to remake this so that it can support the weight of the boom in any direction. I'm sticking with the idea of weighting the base, but I'm going to make a box that drops down below the casters to keep the weight as low as possible. Here I'm using the old base to mark the hole locations to attach the post. Do I need to turn it the other way? I think I do. This is the bottom, so I need it turned this way. So I'm going to mark these holes that are wrong. When you're working with pre-finished plywood, it's important to sand the surfaces before you glue them. Otherwise, the glue will peel right off and you won't get a good bond. These bolts are just barely long enough, so I decided not to use a washer on the top. The head sunk right into the plywood and it gave me just enough to thread the nut on. So these are bearings out of my Jeep differential, and so I've cut a block of steel to keep the bearing in this way, and then I got another one here. I'm going to tack both of these in, and then I've got the pinion from my Jeep. I cut the end off. And that goes in there. Washer. Piece of angle. And now once that gets tacked on, the bearings won't be able to spread apart. As I was welding this, the bearings heated up and expanded quite a bit, so it ran a little rough at first. I glued and screwed a piece of oak to the arm so that I could tap the holes. This is the final form. It was definitely a challenge trying to figure out how to build as much of this as possible from things we already have in the shop. I think the only things I had to buy were the springs and the charging cables. Everything else was either scraps or random stuff I had left over from other projects. I also added this top off so I can charge my phone that's filming, and also a forward-facing monitor so I can see when I'm in frame.